I'm recording my audio here. Says Bluetooth. Okay. Well, good evening, everyone. This is Alex once again, and I am going to record a video on a development tool, a development client that I started using when I started my latest job. It's called LinqPad. And what LinqPad does is it gives you the ability to make queries in in SQL servers. You can also create very basic lines of code in Visual Basic and C# and F# as well. And it's the beauty of it is it's free of charge. So I will go ahead and show you what it looks like. Now, full disclosure, I am working with the version that is a paid version. It's a one-time license of like, I think it's $49. So if you spend money for the license, the perpetual license, you can use it on 3 different machines, and you get the IntelliSense functionality support as well. So, which when you're doing code, it's pretty invaluable to have IntelliSense. So we'll go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead to my start menu. And what actually is LinqPad? Well, LinqPad is a client. Let me go to the website. I don't want to speak for the folks at LinqPad. No, not there. I'm going to go to my Firefox browser, and I'm already messing up, y'all. Go to my Firefox browser. And I clicked the Firefox browser. And my Firefox browser's running, and it's taken a while because I'm on my smallest tablet laptop right now. So I'm not on my main computer. So what is LinqPad? If you go to www.linkpad.net, here, it should take you to the LinqPad website eventually here. Tablet's going a little slow. Maybe I should restart my tablet. And so for those that know, I am a C# developer by trade. I'm a software engineer by trade, let me say that. But my primary language that I code in right now is C#. But I do have VB.NET experience, COBOL experience, some Java experience, some C++ experience, very little C++ experience. Once you learn one language, one of these type of object-oriented languages, you can learn other languages a lot easier. LinqPad is used to test any C#, F# or VB code that you can come up with. I've never used F#, but it's an object-oriented language, I believe. You can also, so here's an example of using LinqPad, which is just a client, to come up with some code here and output that code real time. And then also you can query SQL servers as well. You can use third-party ORMs like Mindscape or DevArt, LinkConnect or DevExpress and DevForce and stuff like that. You can also use Entity Framework and link to SQL. Anything in a .NET environment because it's built on a .NET environment. You can use dump, which is the ability for you to dump everything to the screen as well. And so it's a free download here that you can download it. So I'm going to go ahead, since I've already downloaded it, I'm going to go ahead and start my LinqPad real quick. So I'll go to my LinqPad and I use this. So what do I use this for? Well, I use this when I am code reviewing another fellow developer's code in C# or in VB. What I do is if I have a question on how exactly that code runs, I can copy a good chunk of that code and bring it into LinqPad, and then I can see how it's going to run real time. So let's do this. Let's go find some quick C# code here, and we'll use an example here. And all I use LinqPad for is like a sandbox. If I'm trying to proof of concept something, or I want to see how another developer's code works, I use LinqPad for that purpose. So let's go to C# examples, something like this, right? And let's see if we can Google some C# examples here, something simple. Disable that. And for those that may want to learn C#, I know we've got a channel out there on the Slack community that I pestered Coach Antoine to start. I have not posted a ton of it, of content in there like I want to, because I'm extremely busy at my job and with the fam. So I'm going to go ahead and show you, you can learn C# right here on w3schools.com. It's got just about everything that you need there to learn the basics of C#. Anything more advanced, you're going to find yourself talking to one of my cousins. His name's Google. He's a great guy. And so just like I said, there's a ton of different places you can go to learn C# if you so choose to. I wouldn't start with C#. You might want to start with Python or JavaScript, one of those two languages. If you're trying to do object-oriented stuff, Python's probably a good way to go to get the concepts down, because C# is very, very strongly typed. So it's really picky about what you put in there. So let's look at some examples here. Okay, so let's see here. Here's a great one. So there's some examples here of what you can do in C#. The first one is create a simple Hello World program. So instead of me downloading Visual Studio, which is very, very memory intensive, you have to have at least 4 to 8 gigs to even run Visual Studio on a machine. And I have Visual Studio on this particular laptop because I think I've got 8 gigs, but it runs really slow. I've got a computer downstairs that's maxed out on memory and stuff, and it runs like a champ down there. So LinqPad is the way to go if you want to learn how to run it without downloading Visual Studio. Let me restart my LinqPad because I have a new version I just downloaded too. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a Hello World program. My wife asked me the other day, because we were looking at some jokes from that developers use. So there's the old-fashioned ones. Why does the Java programmer, how did that go? I can't remember what that joke. It was an array joke or something. It's a real corny joke. I might look it up here toward the end. So, but a Hello World program is just basically a program that you can create that will show you that your code runs or in your environment that you're coding in. So to do that, I'm going to really quick go into a C# program. And I'm just going to create a Hello World program. I'm going to say string, let's do it this way. Instead of string, let's do var. Var hello equals hello world. And then for LinqPad to see this printed off on the screen, I'm going to say dump or hello dot dump. And what that does is it'll print it off to the screen for me. And then obviously I am missing a semicolon there. I can't believe I missed that. And so when I click execute or hit F5, it will print hello world to the screen here for me. There we go. So that's a hello world program. Now, and the reason why I really like LinqPad, I did a presentation at my job about LinqPad. The reason why I like LinqPad is because LinqPad gives you the ability to learn how to code, or gives you a sandbox in 4 different realms. You get a sandbox for C#, you get a sandbox for Visual Basic, you get one for SQL, and you get one for F#. There's only one person I know that does anything in F#. So, you know, it is what it is. But VB, so if I'm going to do a VB program, I can do the same thing that I just did here. And if you notice, and that's new actually, that's pretty cool actually. If you notice what LinqPad did was it turned my C# program into a VB program for me automatically. So you can see the syntax there of what it would look like. Now, this little squiggly line means that there's something wrong. And that's because the syntax is slightly different. Well, first off, Visual Basic doesn't require the semicolons. And instead of saying var, hello, I need to say dim, hello, as string equals hello world. And then I say hello dump. And so that's exactly the same thing that I'm doing for my C#. So if I click the execute, I got the same thing. I'm wondering if I go back to this C#, what it does is it flips it and it changes the syntax between C# and VB. So, and that's actually a really great thing, because what that will do is it'll force you to see what the similarities are. Okay. Let me do this here though. I'm a C# guy. So I'm gonna, let's do this right away. Let's explicitly, not a big S, little S, string O equals hello world. And then I hit F5 and I run it. Oh, I forgot my semicolons. And there we go. And you'll note that the syntax is very similar to JavaScript. So what we'll do real quick is we're going to create a function, or better yet, we'll do, you know, like I said, let's go on to the next one. So if we click on the syntax explain on W3 schools, it should open up an example of what that might look like eventually. There we go. And it talks about what the hello world will look like. Now, this looks slightly different than what ours is, because we're not using a namespace for ours. We're just creating a client. But you'll notice that this void main is basically the same thing as in here. And the reason why it's like that is because LinqPad is, like I said, built upon the .NET framework. So there's some things that you don't need to know, or you don't need to put in there. But if you were going to put this in Visual Studio, it would look like this. But we're trying to learn syntax first. So let's go back. That explains the Hello World program. And then what we'll do, once it's done doing whatever it's going to do here, let's go down to something a little bit more tricky here. No. We'll again, I'm going to put this, I'm going to suggest that if you want to learn C#, go here first. You know, go to W3 schools and use W3 schools to learn the syntax of C#. And then there's some more complicated things about object-oriented programming that it will cover. What I would do is learn the syntax first and then come to these class things here, because when you're talking about classes and inheritance and that encapsulation and polymorphism and abstraction, those are some fairly, I don't want to say complex, but they're things that you need to wrap your head around if you're going to learn C#. But what LinqPad does is it gives you the ability to learn how to code in both C#, excuse me, and it does also give you the ability to learn how to code in VB. So let me copy this. I'll paste this in here and I'll switch back to my VB program. And I'll say sub main. And we'll put our end sub there. Get out of there, yo. And we'll take this and copy that up there, because I'm picky with my spaces. Then hello as string equals hello world. Get rid of this, get rid of that. And now we've got a, oh, I don't want to save that yet. Now we've got our VB one, and we've got our C# one. They do the exact same thing. If I run this, it'll give me my hello world down here. If I run this, it'll give me my hello world down here. Two different languages, same platform or same client, but you're learning two languages at the same time. And the best way to do that is, if you want to learn, if you really want to learn stuff from the .NET framework, I would suggest learning it with C# first, and then find out how to do the exact same code in VB. And there's some things that you can do real easily in VB that you can't do in C#. Some things you can do in C# that are much more effective in VB. I mentioned also Sql Server. Let me click onto my Sql Server that I have running over here. And this is my Sql Server that's running. Hopefully it is running. I didn't get rid of it. And it's just a SQL Server that is running, that has some test data that I populated in there. I don't even know if I've still got that server running. It might time out on me there. But in any case, you can do the same thing in two different code bases, two different languages, and learn how to code in two different languages at the same time. I do. It's running now. Okay, so the third part is let's do some SQL. So I'm going to open up another query up here. Now, if I'm going a little fast, this is just an informational kind of a video. I'm going to click SQL. I'm going to click my connection here for my COVID data table. And so now, if you're going to be any kind of a developer, I would strongly encourage you to learn SQL. And let me tell you why. I use SQL in my everyday life at my job. SQL is very admittedly my kryptonite. There are things that I do and that people do in SQL that I cannot wrap my head around. Some very complex code or query structure in SQL that I sometimes cannot wrap my head around. And I'm not going to say I don't struggle, because we all do, but I am going to say that it is more of a challenge to me for SQL. But in any case, let's say we want to query this table and see what's in this table. So let's do that. So I'm going to say select everything from COVID data. And I'm going to hit the F5 and see what's in this table here. Is there anything in this table? There is one row in this table. So let's actually create, and so again, if you're gonna, the SQL is used to store databases, to store information in databases and in tables in a database. And it's for relational databases, relational database systems, RDBMS, relational database management systems, RDBMSs. And SQL Server Management Studio is one, is the RDBMS. And so SQL is for the data. It's strictly all data. Let's say I want to put something into that table. So let's say I want to say insert into, let me see if I can make that bigger. Insert into COVID. Uh-oh. I just messed myself up here. Oh, I can. Let me make the text a little bit bigger. Shrunk you down here. Insert into COVID data. And I have to have the ID. Some string. And I'll say values. 2, comma. And that's a bar chart, so it's string data. Another single quotes string. Let's just make this one line, and then we're going to copy this line 5 or 6 different times. There isn't a primary key. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Another string, yet. Another string, and yet another string. Still another string. Yes, hits another string. Wow, another string. Yawn, another string. Okay. And if I hit F5, it's going to insert all of those records in there. And then if I do another select, COVID data, and I hit F5, I should have all of those rows of data in there. So this is a great way for you to learn how to do SQL as well. And it all runs right here on your machine. You don't have to have a SQL database. There is a way inside of LinqPad for you to set up your own database in here. So you come down here, there should be a database thingamajigger in here of how to create a database right here. So let's populate demo database. If I click on this query, it'll ask you to download some stuff here for Entity Framework. You can. You'll need to have the .NET environment installed on your machine. So unfortunately, this isn't for Macs or for Linux-based systems. It's only for Windows-based systems. I think they're trying to work on that though. But once you get it all working, it's fairly easy, because then what I'll do is I will be able to have a database that I can insert information into here in real time, and then I can query it and make sure my queries work. So for example, like I was saying earlier, my kryptonite is SQL. If I want to learn how to do an advanced query, I can come here to LinqPad, make the query, copy the query, and then, you know, utilize it in the real world environment that I need to. So this is just another way to learn how to become a better developer. And you can use this as a tool. Like I said, when you want to proof of concept some things, or you want to learn how some things work, you can use LinqPad for that. It's really great for that kind of stuff. So again, I'm not sure how long this is going to take. It shouldn't take that much longer. So for example, let me go over to let's see. And that's downloading there. I don't know if that's going to tell me to reinstall. So this is a, oh, let me restore. Yep, I guess I got to get that. So this asks me to, what this will do is it will install a table. Oh, I accept. It will ask me to install a table on this particular a database on this particular LinqPad session, and it does all the stuff for you. So for example, here's where it is looking for existing tables. It says if those tables exist, then we're going to drop the table or get rid of the table basically, and then we're going to recreate it. Here's your create table structures here. Leave with primary keys. And then here is where we're entering data into the tables. And then this is just a print statement saying, hey, tell the user that the insert is completed. So let's see if we can do that. If I click that, let's see what happens here if I get an error. And it says it's done actually. Well, actually, it only did that one line, I think. Let me do the whole thing. And so, yep, it shows that it did the whole thing. It says query is successful. So now, if I look over here, there's a table, a series of tables in a database called Nutshell. So let me close this query, close query. And let me close this query. And then I'll open up a new query. I'll say use Nutshell. Now I'm going to do some SQL. Let me minimize that and maximize that. So let's say I want to get all of the rows in the customer table. So I can do the same thing that I did before. Select star from customer and hit F5 and so let's see what's in there. So there are 5 customer names in there. If we look, there should be an ID and a name. And it looks like we've got a key on purchases as well. So that's a foreign key constraint. And if we go back to the populate demo database, we should see that there is a key constraint in here somewhere on the purchase table. There's our key constraint there. And what a key constraint does is that creates the relationship between the purchase table and the customer table. So it makes it easier to look up data. And let me close that. So now you're wondering, okay, what does this have to do with C# or VB? Well, for C#, and I'll only speak for C# because it's much easier to use Linq with C#. You can look up information in a table using C# as well. So think of it this way. You've got an online application. That online application collects information from a customer. The customer clicks the, they click the submit button. And that information is then sent to the database through some kind of a middleware or whatever, or a service or something like that. Let's say it's an API hit. The API then, as it inserts that data into the table, it then closes the connection with the client, and then you got your data in the table. Well, now you want to display this data to customers, or you want to run queries on them. So now that's what you need to do here. You need to go get that information, and that's what the SQL does for you. And then the C#, what it can do is it can help automate, and batch things for you, so you can run a report real time. So just to kind of show you how that would work, let's just do a really quick report program here in this C#. So I'm going to do void, I'll call it a void get report info, and now I can do and here it shows you how you can make your queries in here. Sent to XML. This is link queries, and there's link to C#. I mean, there's link to SQL in here somewhere. But if I wanted to query that particular data, this is a query in link on an enumerable list of names. That's not what I want. Close that. Let's see here. I know in here somewhere there's syntax on how you would create a query to that database. Let's see if this will do it. No, that's not what I'm looking for here. Close query. So that would just be, oh, I don't want to do that. I'll close this one, close this one. Close that one. Well, let's see if I can do this way. It's not responding to me. Okay, there we go. I wonder if I can just drag this over here and see what happens here. Nope. Let's drag this one over here. Var C data equals customers. There we go. Dot select. C dot name, where, let's say I only want to get the ones where they end in a Y. So that's these three. I don't mean to close that one. Close that one. Where let's see, Y contains Y. To list. And so what that's going to do is that's going to grab all the ones that have a Y in there, Well, that's going to be these guys right here. And so now I need to call my get report info. Let's get rid of you. I need to call my get report info function or sub, or get report, or method, I should say, info. And then here, let's see, var report info equals, and instead of this being a void, this needs to be a list of strings. And then down here, I need to say return C data. And then up here, I need to iterate through each of my returns. So I need to say do a for each var sn report info. And if I say s.dump, let's see what happens here. I don't think that's going to work. Well, it should work. It should do something. There we go. We got our Mary, Gary, and Harry, Mary, and Jay. And then the reason why I got a warning here is because I'm not using this anymore. Cancel. So I need to get rid of that line here. And let's say I want to say we'll just make a string. Yeah, I can do that. String format. And I can say hello. And I'll use string interpolation. So doing it this way. Take the S. Oop, not S. S. Lower S. Hello. Exclamation point. Close paren dot dump. Actually, I wonder if I can do it, just do it this way. Now, I don't know if I can do that. Let's see what happens. I may not be able to do that. Oh yeah, there we go. So yeah. So now I'm printing off all of the names that came back in my query. So then what you would do is you would build all of your data and all of your methods and stuff here. You would take that and then you would put it into your actual code, you know, and you'd fill in all of the extra stuff like the using statements and namespaces and all that kind of stuff. Your modifiers for accessibility, and then you would run it, and it would be a lot easier for you because you've done all of the work over here in real time. Or you can just use Visual Studio if you've got to be able to, ability to. So anyway, I know I'm kind of rambling on, but this is a great way to use this code client to find out how to use 3 different coding languages, or 2 different coding languages and a query language on the same time. You can play around with this. It's an actual server because you're running a SQL Server over here. You can put whatever data you want in here. Play around with tables. Look, I can create a new table. Let me just create a new table. So I'll say create. table. What do I want to call this? Diagnosis. And in here, let's say I need to make a diagnosis ID, and that's going to be int, not null. It's going to be primary key. And we're going to have a var, we're going to have diagnose description, char max, not null. And let's say we're going to have diagnosis date, not null. And we're going to have specialist. And we're going to have that as a var char max, not null. And then finally, we'll have facility. Not null. Yeah, we'll leave that way. So I create a table. Get rid of this. Still using the NetShell database. At 5. And now I've got a new table over here. So if I refresh this, I should have a diagnosis table to pop up here. A child in there, it's not going to bed. Eventually, it'll pop up here with a diagnosis table. It should come up between these two right here. There it is. You can click on this. You can see exactly what is in there. You can see there's a primary key in there. Just like in this one here. Tells you what is not null, which is all of them. And then I can enter stuff into that table if I needed to. So again, there's, LinqPad gives you a great starting point if you're trying to learn this type of coding. If you're interested in it, you can go download it. Again, I can tell you, the IntelliSense stuff that I've been kind of showing with autocomplete, that does cost $49. It's a one-time charge for it. You don't have to have it if you don't want to. It does make your life a little easier though, if you're not sure about the syntax. And then the beauty of it is you can save this query and you can either forward it off to somebody else, you can send it to SSMS, or you can, save it for your future reference if you want to know how you did something. It's a great way to keep your mind fresh. So hopefully this helps. Hopefully this video worked. If not, I'm just wasting my time talking to nothing. So as always, hopefully this helps you. Hopefully somebody learned something. I know it's kind of a ramble on video. I didn't really plan to make this video, but it was just kind of on my mind. Alrighty, and I hope everyone has a great one. Bye-bye.